Governor Tim Walz and Congressman Dan Crenshaw stood less than 6 feet apart, but the clash between them felt like two different worlds colliding. And the moment Crenshaw opened his mouth, the room snapped awake. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? Yes or no? That one question didn't just set the tone, it lit the fuse. Because in the next few minutes, millions of Americans would be reminded why these hearings go viral, why tempers explode, and why some politicians suddenly lose the ability to answer a simple, direct question. And listen, before we go any further, grab your drink, settle in, and stay sharp, because what happened in this exchange wasn't just a misunderstanding or a heated debate.
Chairman, welcome to the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary right here on stage at the Oversight Committee. Governor Newsom must be seething. The three of you beat him to the stage, but he's a little busy right now defending illegals and defending Antifa, torching what is left of Los Angeles. Governor Walz knows the playbook. In 2020, he rolled out the red carpet for anarchists while Minnesotans watched their neighborhoods burn. You've turned your states into sanctuaries for illegals. You've done more to shield MS-13 than to protect the single mom working 2 jobs in Chicago, Queens, or Minneapolis. And you've worked harder against ICE than with them. So Governor Walz, and boy, does that feel nice to say the word governor, my first question is for you. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? It's a yes or no question. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust?
Pushing my button, Dan.
Okay.
Yes, I believe that's historic.
Okay, would you agree the Holocaust is the most horrific atrocity in human history? Yes or no?
I think the Holocaust ranks amongst them, yes.
Did you know the Nazi Gestapo imprisoned, tortured, and murdered Jews by the hundreds of thousands and committed genocide against the Jews? Did you know that?
I do know they operated as secret.
Did you know ICE has done none of that? Yes or no?
Operated as a secret police force?
No, that's not the question. Did you know that ICE has not committed genocide against anyone?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher,
Yes or no is the question.
a historical
You're a
comparison.
governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to
ICE to
Gestapo?
identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay,
is
so
always the
are
way.
you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions?
I
Do you
understand
still want
being
to
a governor
abolish
is a
ICE?
different
Do you
job.
still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
Said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you
and
rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you
wasn't part of the
can't rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive decline
Thank God
than the
he's
things that we were.
president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah,
I
is
think that's very
bullying,
evident.
is
As a teacher and a
bullying,
parent.
my mom was a teacher, I'm a high school dropout, we can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay, yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think
Yes
there's
or
a
no?
time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
You're showing that the Democrat Party is a party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman?
I,
What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well, that,
What
okay.
what do you want me to say? This is,
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congresswoman.
Good lady,
thank-
Mr.
back.
Chairman,
She
I would ask
recognizes Mr.
unanimous consent.
Ocasio-Cortez.
It was a full-on unraveling of a narrative that had been carefully protected for years. And the governor's reaction in those opening seconds told the whole story. This wasn't confidence. This wasn't clarity. This was panic wrapped in politeness. And the question haunting everyone watching was simple. Why couldn't he just say yes or no? The moment Crenshaw brought up the Gestapo comparison, the air changed. Not because the question was complicated, but because it hit a nerve so deep that even the governor couldn't hide his discomfort. When he was asked whether he understood the historical reality of the Holocaust, the torture, the imprisonment, the genocide, he hesitated. He fumbled. He tried to soften his answers, redirect the conversation, intellectualize the horror. Anything except facing the real point. He had compared American officers doing their jobs, to one of the most brutal, murderous organizations in world history. And the more he avoided the question, the more obvious it became. He didn't want to walk back the comparison, but he also didn't want to defend it. So he tried to stand in that gray zone, hoping the committee wouldn't notice. But they noticed. Everyone noticed. Because you cannot compare modern federal law enforcement to a group responsible for the industrial-scale extermination of human beings, and then act confused when someone asks if you'll apologize. But here was the deeper problem. The governor wasn't just evading a question. He was evading accountability. When Crenshaw pushed, "Did you know ICE has committed 0 genocides?" The governor tried to shift the topic to secret police forces. When he was asked again, he tried to talk about historical context. Every pivot was a dodge. Every dodge felt rehearsed. And every dodge backfired. Because avoiding a yes or no question only works when people aren't paying attention. But millions were, and the exchange got uglier from there. When Crenshaw asked whether he believed ICE agents should be dragged into a tribunal the way Nuremberg prosecuted Nazis, the governor tried to philosophize about due process. Not a denial, not a correction, just a vague statement floating somewhere between political strategy and academic fog. That's when people watching started to realize something. This wasn't confusion. This was self-preservation. Because admitting the comparison was wrong would mean admitting the rhetoric had gone too far, and political movements rarely reward honesty when it contradicts the narrative. But the hearing didn't stop at immigration. Once the door cracked open, the committee walked straight through it. They pressed him on sanctuary states, his state's response to rioting, and the accusation that he defended far-left groups more aggressively than law enforcement officers. And once again, the same pattern. He wouldn't commit, wouldn't clarify, wouldn't break from the approved script. And then came the question everyone online replayed a dozen times. Do you still want to abolish ICE? This should have been easy. If the answer was no, he could say no. If the answer was yes, he could defend his position. Instead, he claimed he didn't remember marching in a rally calling for the agency's abolishment, despite widespread reports showing he did exactly that. Suddenly, the confident, decisive governor became the man who couldn't recall. It was the oldest political trick in the book, and everyone knew it. But the hearing hadn't even hit its peak yet. Because when Congresswoman Boebert took the mic, the tone shifted again, sharper, colder, far more personal. She pressed him not on immigration this time, but on character, on bullying, on whether he defended students who harmed others, on whether he ever claimed to be friends with someone involved in an attack. These were questions meant to expose inconsistencies in his public persona, and the governor's responses only fueled them. When asked if bullying was okay, he argued that sometimes people needed to bully the bully. It was supposed to sound strong. It sounded reckless. Because when you're a governor or a teacher, as he reminded everyone, you don't get to redefine bullying on the fly, not without consequences. But then came the moment that exploded across the internet. What is a woman? The simplest question ever asked in a congressional hearing. A question most adults could answer without hesitation. Yet the governor froze. He stalled. He searched for a way to satisfy every corner of his political coalition without alienating any of them. And as he stood there struggling, the silence said more than any answer ever could. Because no matter how people feel about the gender debate, one thing is universally true. A leader who cannot define basic terms cannot lead a nation. And something else happened in that moment. Viewers at home saw fear. Not of the committee, not of the cameras, but of his own base. Because saying a woman is an adult human female has become a political crime in certain circles. And he knew it. So he chose the only option he thought he had. Say nothing. Hope the silence passes. Pretend confusion. But confusion isn't leadership. Confusion is surrender. Every time the governor dodged, deflected, or claimed he couldn't recall, something became clearer. These weren't isolated moments. They were symptoms of a political culture built on avoiding uncomfortable truths. A culture where narratives matter more than facts. Where apologies are seen as weakness. Where standing your ground only counts if the ground is approved by the party. And the people watching saw through it. Because Americans, regardless of ideology, can smell evasiveness a mile away. When the questioning ended, the story wasn't about immigration anymore. It wasn't about the Holocaust comparison, or riots, or gender debates. It was about something far bigger, whether leaders today can answer direct questions without hiding behind talking points. Whether they can admit mistakes instead of rewriting their own history. Whether they can speak plainly instead of performing intellectual gymnastics for fear of offending activists who have never won a single election. And that's why this hearing matters. Not because of political theater, not because of viral clips, but because it revealed a truth most people whisper but rarely say aloud. Many political leaders are terrified of their own supporters. They don't fear the opposition. They fear breaking from the script. And when the script collapses, as it did in this hearing, they collapse with it.so. The real question is this. If a governor can't answer basic yes or no questions under pressure, what happens when the pressure isn't a committee room, but a crisis? What happens when the decisions aren't rhetorical, but life or death? What happens when there's no time to dodge, no time to spin, no time to check polling before speaking? Those are the questions Americans should be asking, and now I want to hear from you. Should public officials who compare IC to the Gestapo apologize publicly? Or does this hearing reveal that this is simply who the modern democratic leadership has become, more committed to ideological narratives than to truth, clarity, or accountability? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you're still here, first, thank you. You're the reason these deep dives matter. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this one. The more informed we are, the harder it becomes for political spin to shape the truth. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next one.